come up.
We're going.
Recorded. All right. So, okay, we're live and open. It's now broadcasting. Yes. Yay. Fantastic. Okay, so I'll just give a very, very short introduction to myself because I just gave a longer one while we were waiting for it to start. So I'm Michelle Dixon, and thank you everyone who's here. It's great to have you here. Thank you for your patience while we've negotiated our technical challenges. Challenges always make us stronger. So we are now live and really strong and excited and ready to go. So I am a body therapist and a trauma release specialist, and I work on the intersection of emotional healing and coaching. So helping people release trauma from their body, from their memories, and then also create the life, create a life that lights them up, as I like to say. And you can imagine in the work I do, which I've been doing for a decade now, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia, but I have clients by Zoom from all over the world. You can imagine in the work I do, I get a lot of people who come to me for emotional healing from narcissistic abuse very often. But I don't work at the level of, helping my clients negotiate boundaries and communication and that sort of thing. I really stay in my corner, my expertise, which is emotional healing, that release, that changing your script, changing your paradigms, and the coaching aspect of it. But I've noticed, especially over the past year, that I've got lots of questions from my audience about how to deal with things with their abusers, with the fallout from the abuse, from their community and so on. And so I sat with it for a while, and I was like, I can't really answer these questions, but I'm sure there must be some, there must be an expert who can. And I had this idea that I would approach. I thought in my mind, I'll just find one expert who can fill in the gaps of what I know, and we can do a webinar together and they can answer the questions. What a fantastic idea. Of course, the universe has much bigger plans than I expected, because when I approached Paxton, our moderator here from Rhythm Entertainment, the Insta account, NarcAbuseTV, and I said, hey, I'd like to do this. He was like, oh, I've got, multiple people. So here we are. This is how this has happened. We have all come together for this purpose. So really, you'll find that I'm not going to do as much talking as our wonderful guests here, because this is really to give them a chance to answer the questions that you all have. And our intention is to give you support and insight and inspiration so that you walk away from this feeling like you knew more than before, you're more hopeful, you have some resources. And we won't be going into some of the legal questions because that's not our area, and that's a personal thing. So I will just say that if you have any questions that haven't been answered and specific issues, feel free to send a message to NarcAbuseTV, the Instagram account, so that we can collectively funnel you to someone who'll be able to help you. So that's why we're here. That's who I am. And now I'd like to turn the mic over to the panelists to have them quickly introduce themselves before we get started answering your questions. And please know at any point you can submit more questions. You can message us with more questions. But I'm going to start with Tricia, and then we'll move on. So Tricia, if you want to just give us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're super glad you're here. I'm Tricia. I am a survivor of an abusive narcissist for 7 years. I am also a coach, and I am an author. I wrote a book and released that this past August 2021 about my abuse. And it's a really great roadmap giving you tips on red flags and behaviors and understanding what's taking place, as well as a deep dive into my healing journey and how I got out for good, went no contact, and how amazing my life is without him. So I'm here to encourage you and answer questions on how you can get started. In my coaching, I really work with helping people set boundaries and finding self-love and your true self, connecting to your spirit. And yeah, so anybody that's feeling stuck or alone, just know you're not, and you're not crazy, and we love and support you, and we're here for you. So keep slaying.
Thank you, Tricia. I'll go on to Eve now.
Hi everybody, my name's Evebradley and I am an abuse recovery mentor. So I specialise in working with people to break trauma bonds and to reclaim your identity. So I'm really focused on developing a healing pathway that is absolutely right for the individual and the individual's experiences. So like Tricia, we incorporate boundaries, communication, co-parenting or parallel parenting. And yeah, really coming back to ourselves, connecting with the divine feminine and masculine energies to promote a lot more balance in life. So that is what I do. I also bring people together in a survivors network and bring people together to talk and to share. And because the shared compassion that we find in this community of survivors, once you tap into it, that is the absolute lifeblood to get you through this process.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Eve. Sarah.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Sarah De Silva. I am a life coach. I have been a coach for about 5 years, but only went into the sphere of narcissism about 2.5 years ago. I was narcissistically abused by my parent, but that also went into personal relationships, which caused a lot of strife. But then I found my way, and now I'm helping people through my pages, my personal social pages. But the main one is Heal the Mum Wound on Instagram. I have a coaching program in which I help people to gain back their identity, figure out what it is that they really want and create the life that they want. But, you know, there's a bit of a process that comes with it, with the realization that we've come through a bit of a journey and a bit of a traumatic experience. So I help with that, not only that, but also with the other side of figuring out what you really want, because sometimes when we go through that whole process of healing the trauma, we don't really know who we are or what we want. So that's the big part of it. And yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And Anoushka.
Hi everyone. So I am a psychologist practitioner, and I think a lot of people know me from YouTube. I started making videos all about educating people on narcissistic abuse, and that obviously has grown over time. So I work with people to self-generate. So this is a lot of you who have gone through narcissistic abuse but are like on the other side now, and it's kind of like, what do you do? We've gone through this, we know what narcissism is, but I help people to empower themselves to get past this abuse and learn how to connect to ourselves and grow from that.
Great, thank you so much. So excited to have all these women with me today. Just listening to it, you know, it's really inspiring, actually, everyone's personal journey, and I'm sure we'll learn more about that as we go on. Just a quick note to emphasize that, you know, she probably got from Sarah, who mentioned her parents. So narcissistic abuse can affect any kind of relationship. And that was actually one of the questions, is it just about a love relationship? Absolutely not. We're here to talk about any form coming from any direction, friends, family, you know, anything. And I think with that, we're just going to get started because we do have a lot of questions, and I'm excited to hear the responses. And yeah, and just if you want more support with that, just type in the chat, and yes, someone can help. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to start with this general question because I think it represents what so many people are dealing with. So here's the question. Hi, how do you recommend dealing with a situation where a family member who is narcissistic, manipulative, and has a personality disorder tries to turn others, even relatives, against you? They don't actually tell you they've spoken to them, but you can tell by their changed behavior towards you. Do you share your experience with the family members? But then it can escalate and bring trauma back into your life. It can re-traumatize you. The gossip mill takes off and you just want to move into a more positive phase of your life. You feel like you're somehow playing into their hands. Also, what if you're, and I'll leave that question with that. There's a second part to it, but we'll leave it with that. I'm sure all of our panelists are very familiar. We'll start with Tricia, if you don't mind. How would you Where do you even begin?
Right. So actually, I have firsthand experience with this. What I had to do and what I highly suggest is, again, to make those boundaries clear with your family members or whoever this person is speaking to out of turn behind your back. I wouldn't get into a debate with them. I know it's really hard to check your ego and not want to defend yourself, but that is giving the narcissist supply, whether positive or negative. Just don't even go there. Just state with whoever you're speaking with, like, how you feel. It makes you uncomfortable. These are your boundaries. I don't want them in my life right now, and I'm not going to explain it. This is just how it needs to be, because you've got to protect your peace. That's what I had to do with my sister, and it's still very challenging. I have a lot of pushback from some family members that keep telling me I need to forgive. I have forgiven for myself, not for her. So just do what you need to do to protect your inner peace, because blood is not thicker than peace. And you don't need to get into explanation with anybody about it. Just, it is what it is. That's it.
Yeah, I'm just going to absolutely agree with Tricia. You know, developing boundaries is a difficult thing to do at first, but once you get into the flow of it, once you start to learn your own personal boundaries yourself and kind of test them yourself and know when you're going to uphold that boundary, how that looks for you, how it feels for you, it becomes a lot easier, it becomes a lot more comfortable, and actually over time it becomes really very empowering. When it comes to family, like Tricia says, you know, it's about having that kind of quiet and you know, like really you know, not engaging, and you know, being polite, keeping the body language closed, not inviting in conversation. You know, these are really practical kind of ways to, you know, be polite, be respectful, but not engage, not to give that supply over, and therefore not to kind of feel the fallout coming back at you, and that can save you from re-traumatizing, and also carrying on with your own inner work, you know, continuing your healing so that you are building your emotional resilience, you're increasing your toolkit of things that you can do to reground yourself after you've been put through one of these kinds of events. So yeah.
Thank you, Eve. Sarah, do you have anything to add? You're muted
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time I spoke to Paxton, he actually gave me something really cool, which is FBI. I'm pretty sure anyone who's watched the IGTV that I did with him knows about it. But I like to use the F for fearlessness, B for boundaries, and I for interdependence. So F, we have to have enough fearlessness to not care about what people are saying behind our backs, and enough fearlessness to stand up to them if they're going to start crap, and enough fearlessness to walk away and absolutely not engage when it happens. Then have the boundaries to go, you know what, this is what I am willing to accept, and this is what I'm not willing to accept, and this is what I will take and what I won't take. And then interdependence comes in, where we go, you know what, this is how much your opinion really matters to me, and this is how much I'm going to take on board your opinion, but I'm also going to care about my own, while also, you know, I'm not going to become codependent on your opinion or dependent on your opinion. I'm not going to become too independent where I'm pushing myself away from you, but I'm also going to be like, you know what, I know myself and I also know you. So that's where I'm going to leave it.
Fantastic. I love that.
Yes, I agree. Like all three of you have answered that perfectly. I've got nothing more to add, but all I would say is it's really difficult, you know, especially with like family members, because they are your primary relationships, and they're the ones that hurt the most. But you see, we can't change somebody else's thoughts or behavior towards us. What we can change is how we react to it. So it's just as Eve Sarah and Tricia have said, you know, you have to not care about, and it is really difficult because it is, like I said, they're primary relationships and they do hurt. But you have to think about your own health, your mental well-being, like at what cost does that really matter what they're saying? So you have to protect yourselves. Remember, we can't change what somebody else says or does, but we can change, or we can protect ourselves from somebody like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually did sound better, but I thought I would just add to this question. This question that everyone responded to actually had two parts, and I left the second part because I wanted to hear about that personal piece when we're talking about family. But this individual added to this question something which I think is a really interesting complexity. Also, in addition to this stuff with the family and the gossip, what if you're too scared to start an online business with the fear your sister is going to anonymously leave bad reviews and try to destroy anything you try to build? And this person mentions his sister, you know, was trained as a lawyer and can outwit everyone. I think this is a really interesting point because this goes beyond, you know, merely your family dynamics, and now we're moving into how this can affect you out there in the world. So I'd love to hear, you know, I mean, I can imagine, you know, as a business owner myself, that kind of fear, and I'm wondering if we could address that. What if that's the thing that's causing so much internal fear? Do you want to try speaking first, Tricia, and see how you go with the correctly? You're muted though.
But
We can hear you. Yeah.
Yay!
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. No tackle.
Yeah, I would just wanted to add on to what Anoushka said, and your response is your responsibility, and you're not responsible for other people's feelings or what they think, because you know what's happened, you know who you are more than anybody else on earth, so you don't even need to get into a debate with anybody. Just state what is what. That was it.
And with the online business question, that is, a very real fear that could really impact. And I think for me, I would definitely be engaging in lots of positivity to ensure that I was attracting in as much positivity. Put your energy into your business, get all of the good reviews, and they will drown out. Even if she does do that, which we can't ever know that she definitely would, but let's say she does. If she is just 1% of 100 reviews, then she isn't going to make anywhere near the impact that she thinks she is. Because we know as business owners, there's always people out there that are not going to, you know, they're going to project their problems into your business, into your life. And we just have to have that resilience and that sense of identity that they're not going to get in.
Yeah. Sarah?
Ladies,
Yeah,
you're doing so well, absolutely well, ladies. I'm going to interject myself into this conversation momentarily because there's a number of things happening in the chat, and there's the Q&A section. So as a general reminder to everyone that's an attendee here, all 18 of you, feel free to make sure that you use that Q&A section. So if you have a question, this is interactive. Feel free to type in a question, and the panelists can see the questions. Panelists feel free to look at the Q&A section and bring it up. Feel free to interject them at any point that you want to bring up one of those questions, along with the, of course, questions that we already have designated and sent in to us. But as of right now, everyone's enjoying the show, and the chat also is quite busy. Feel free to notice anything that appeals to you there. Thank you, Michelle.
All good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I first started my business, I was feeling the exact same way. And especially starting a business in narcissism. Well, I was doing coaching before and everyone knew my business. I was working in self-love, but then I started my business in healing the mum wound, and I wanted it to be completely private because I was like, if people I know come along and have a look at what I'm doing, they might have something to say about it. Now, I do come across people who have something to say about it all the time. And it actually has taught me personally how to become more fearless in the face of these situations, actually how to deal with conflict and how to feel better about it. So in a way, it was actually a positive experience. And just like Eve said, that there are always going to be bad reviews. If that person is willing to go ahead and take all of like time out of their day to do that to your business that you're trying to grow from the ground up, it says a lot more about them than about you. It says a lot more about what time they have on their hands and about how much joy and purpose they have in their lives. So focus on what makes you happy and focus on what you want. That's what's most important.
And I think that people can pick up on reviews that are left with malice. I was in the hospitality industry for a long time. And so, TripAdvisor reviews were my nemesis for a while. But actually, you can tell when they're written with malice or if they've got genuine. And, people reading them, they've got their own kind of sense of filters and what have you to work it out. So it's a fear, but not one that should stop you from going for your dreams. Definitely not.
Yeah, nothing hurts them worse than seeing you happy and succeeding.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is true.
Do it.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. If anyone has any more comments, just hop on. I might move to next question then in that case. I do see we have a question. Let's see. Okay, yeah, cool. We had a question in the Q&A which Tricia answered. Awesome. I'm going to get onto this question, which I know because I believe this person might even be on the call. So this is a question about elder abuse. So I'll read it out loud. Hi, any advice regarding a highly manipulative and controlling sibling undertaking elder abuse and succeeding in destroying relationships between the parents and 3 other siblings? She lives with them. I think she lives with the parents, along with her primary school-age children, and hasn't worked for over 10 years. She's on disability and says she has PTSD, but my counselor says she sounds narcissistic, someone with a personality disorder. She's very angry and bitter about how her life has turned out. She likes having my parents run the house, and she doesn't like housework and has a sense of entitlement. Okay, so I think you get the gist of this question. Concerns about relation. It's a little bit like the other one, but I did want to speak to this because I believe this person might be watching. So yeah. Anything to add to, it's probably all related, but Tricia, anything specific to say about that one?
Again, very similar to what I said earlier and my situation completely. Are you talking about my sister actually? It's very difficult. It's really painful, but again, you have to stand up for yourself. And I would say, honestly, in a loving, compassionate way, offer support to your parents who are having to deal with it. It's nice that you have some separation because you're not under the roof with them. But, there's a difference between being compassionate and enabling somebody to continue. So, I would encourage your parents to set some boundaries and, maybe have like a little come to Jesus where they say, in this many months, you need to get your own place or find alternate, arrangements, because it is very exhausting and unhealthy for everybody's mental, emotional health. And I would just say
those conversations, they can be so hard, can't they? But after they're done, after you've got through them, the benefits can be well worth the initial pain, without a doubt. And those conversations, they can be really, really difficult. But if you can be clear with them, clear with what your objective is before you're going into the conversation. So if you're clear with what you're working towards, often your brain will naturally take you in the right way to do it. And actually doing them gradually, often we find that we need to sit down and have great big heart-to-hearts, and they have to be really loads of points, but actually we will respond much better to dealing with one thing at a time and seeing it as a long game, and, you know, working through some of those concerns gradually, and then before you know it, you've all got better boundaries, you're all working together better, and she's not getting as much out of the situation. But keep educating yourself about narcissistic abuse, because then you can spot the tactics, you can begin to preempt them, you know what's coming next, and that takes the sting out of so much.
I wonder if the parents in this situation also experience that they're being abused, the elderly parents.
Okay, so Camilla's just popped in the chat box. My parents just want peace. They won't kick her out because she has a son. They don't appreciate when I turn a mirror to them about what's going on. My mum has become an abuser against me under my sister's influence. So it sounds like the mum's taken on an enabling role in that dynamic, and that can be very difficult. I'll pass over to Sarah. Do you want to?
I was just going to say I can add to that for the enabling part, because I'm personally in a similar kind of situation. My mother is the one who's the abuser per se, and my sisters my younger sisters have a disability and they live with my mother, and I want access to my sisters, but my mother isn't allowing it. So the only access that I do have is via FaceTime. So I'm allowed to talk to them via FaceTime. And when we were talking, when you were reading out the question, a few alarm bells rang for me. It was like, you're trying to do something for people that still kind of have their own free will and choice in this situation, but at the same time are being manipulated by someone else. And it's really tough because you're trying to help them to see that they're the ones being hurt right now, but they can't see it. So then they do the enabling. Like my sister, for example, says, oh, you really need to say sorry to mum because, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I can't really explain that to her because she doesn't understand what narcissism is or anything like that. So what I've learned to do over time is to do what I can, because there's literally nothing else I can do. I've tried everything, but all I can do is to put my boundaries in place and set my expectations. So my expectations at the first time, in the first instance, was I'm going to get what I want in this situation. But then I realized I'm not going to, because this person is going to hold their position very, very strong, and they're going to do everything possible to not allow me to get what I want, because they know that's what I want. So when you set your expectations that you're not going to get what you want in this situation, it actually removes a lot of disappointment. It makes you go, okay, well, I don't have much power here. And then you decide to do what you can when you put your boundaries in place, and you go, well, this is the relationship I can have with them, and I'm going to find happiness and peace with that. And I'm not going to push anymore with the other thing because that's what's making me unhappy.
I just want to add to that. Camilla has written, I feel sad. I want grandparents for my own son, but my psychologist has told me to walk away. Camilla, I just want to say that I know that you're it's like what Sarah has been saying, like you're in this position and it's kind of like you don't want to be in it. And I know that you want to have grandparents for your son. But I think what the psychologist is saying here is right. I know you don't want to, but walking away will give you that space and that time to heal. I would say reach out to these lovely ladies, you know, to help you kind of develop boundaries and heal from this, because what you have gone through is, do you know what, it's life altering, because I guess you grow up and we're always led to believe that our parents are so wonderful and they're there for us, but it's not always the case. And we have to recognize that. We have to stand up for ourselves. And that's why these lovely ladies, Eve, Trish and Sarah, they deal with and working with boundaries. So I would reach out to them as well. But walking away will help you to give you space and time to recalibrate and just think about this. And do you know what, Camilla? It doesn't mean that this has got to be like this forever. It's just for the time being. But you need to get strong in order to deal with, you know, with your parents, and your son also teach him these techniques too.
putting space between you in these situations can be really, really powerful. And like Anoushka says, you know, it doesn't have to be forever. The decisions we make now, they don't apply to the rest of our lives. You know, taking 6, 12 months, even 2 years to kind of step back, to really focus on yourself and then come back at this situation from a new angle. Things have changed, the dynamics moved on, you know, and you might find that the results that you get are much more in line with what you want for your and your son's future.
Yeah, thank you. I'm loving all these responses because it's so in alignment with how I work also with emotional healing, which is this idea of walking away. Is this also part of that walking away is giving yourself some time to kind of raise your energy and increase your positivity and increase your self-love and raise your vibration, if that's your language. And it's so important because what I see again and again is it's this idea that I think it's the Einstein quote that, you know, we never solve problems at the same level at which we created them, you know. And the idea is that the space you're in when there's strife and struggle is not the same space that you're going to be in, and it's not going to have the same outcome when you're in a place of self-loving and, you know, and you're more even. And I think this is a great takeaway for everyone. And I think it's something that I'll mention again kind of as we go throughout this discussion, but this idea that it's so important to find ways to nurture yourself and increase your positivity, because the flow-on effect from that is so massive, even in these relationships, which you can't control. You can't control all relationships, but just by holding a different energy and vibe within yourself and radiating that positivity, you'll start to see that reflected back to you in your life. So that's so important. I love that message, everyone.
Definitely.
That's so true. Yeah.
I'm going to move on to a relationship question because this is one that I get so often. I would love for you to give your followers advice about how to stay sane and healthy while going through a divorce with a narcissist. Okay, and you have children you share. In this particular situation, the narcissist is charging the healthy parent with parental alienation. I'm not sure I understand that, but I think we all understand the concept that the tables have been turned, right? They're trying to separate, and the narcissist is claiming that the sane person is the abuser and the difficult parent. And the question gets very specific, but you know, there are other people involved in this, you know, in a range of capacities, from legal to relationships, which are making this separation completely different. I realize it's difficult. Sorry. I realize this is a huge question, and there's so many different angles, but I'd love to get stuck into it a little bit, because how is that? How do you navigate that when, you know, you're not just going through the separation, but then you're faced with this possibility, and I have friends as well who've gone through this, where then your child is spending part of their time with a narcissist, and, you know, and they have to learn how to negotiate that. This is and feel free to speak to any part of that really speaks to you, because I mean we could probably do a whole webinar just on dealing with a co-parent who's a narcissist. But let's just talk about, how do you deal with the divorce part of that, Tricia?
I would just like to say, honestly, you have to understand their Darvo technique that they're doing, which is deny, avoid, deny, avoid, reverse, victim, and offender. And that's what they do all the time, is flip it around on you so that they don't have to take accountability and they can play, oh, poor pitiful me. You have got to protect yourself. And I know it hurts. I know it's hard, especially with children involved. Continue being consistent as that child's safety, their rock, their confidant, and go bury your head in a pillow and cry and scream in a closet if you have to, but continue being that child's rock, because children are smart and they will figure it out eventually. So do what you need to do, lots of self-care, deep breaths, meditate. I can't say enough about meditation. Get outside, connect to the earth, put your bare feet on the ground, and just make sure that you are, you know, taking good care of you and that child, because it will turn. it'll eventually flip. And I know it's hard. Another group you can look into is coercive control on Instagram. I'm actually involved with them and writing all my state legislators to change the laws of what's deemed domestic abuse because of this very reason and how messed up the judicial system is on allowing these people to get 50-50 custody and harming our children. So sending you lots of love. I hope that helps. But just maintain who you are, keep being you, and that child will figure it out.
That's absolutely right.
Sorry, Eve, can I just quickly say, there's a question that's come through on the Q&A. If I could just get the panelists to open that, just to maybe refer to that as you're answering, because it's a specific scenario. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I was just going to say absolutely what Tricia says about, really developing your relationship with your child, being consistent, being clear, giving them a safe space to be able to talk through their experiences. With my own children, well, my oldest daughter's 7, so my youngest is 1, so I don't have conversations with her. Well, I do, but she doesn't really respond. But yeah, my elder daughter, we talk about these kinds of behaviours, but not in relation to people that she knows. So we're picking up on it on the television, we're picking up on it on storybooks, we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about respect all the time, but we're not relating it to people that she knows. And she connects the dots. She can pick out these behaviors in people that she does spend time with, and then she's starting to relearn her own resilience, her own boundaries. We're practicing about that. Definitely learn about how narcissists approach the legal system. There are lots of really brilliant books and resources out there with regards to going through the court system with a narcissist, because it's like a chess game. You get a couple of moves ahead, and everything, like I said a bit earlier, the sting gets taken out of it. You actually begin to be quite empowered in your understanding that they are that predictable. Get some legal representation that really understands this as well. Trying to educate a legal representative or an official isn't possible. So working with people that already know what this kind of personality is like and what they're likely to experience is another way to kind of arm yourself and get a better result out of this. But my heart goes out to you, because it is so difficult when our children are involved, because they're our babies and we want to protect them from the nasty things that go on in the world, and it's very difficult when that's their parent.
So to add to that, I completely agree with Tricia and Eve on that your children are the ones who will pick up the behavior. Personally, being a child of a narcissist, it took me a while to notice. I didn't have anyone else going, what, your mum's a narcissist, but I picked up that something wasn't quite right in their behavior. I was like, this just doesn't seem right. No one else acts like this. Like, this is just, why don't they hear me, or why don't they listen or have empathy? Like, your child will eventually start going, there's something not quite right here. And then they'll start to learn. And like Eve said, if you're picking up on the behavior and not directly relating it to that person, they will pick up that behavior is directly related to that person themselves. They'll make the connection themselves. And in the development stages of children, they will have a period of picking up everything that comes around them up until about the age of 7 to 10. Then after that, they come to a stage where they're looking up to role models. So they will be trying to model behavior that they believe is really, really amazing, that's really like a superhero. So if you remain exactly who you truly are, that's what I've noticed. If you don't give the narcissist what they want, they're trying to get a reaction out of you with everything that they do. But if your child sees that you can remain calm in those situations, and you're not reacting, you're not getting abusive in return, you're not being emotionally immature, you're not playing games, you're just saying, this is my boundary, I'm holding it strong, and I'm going to be a rock for my child at the same time, then they're going to come back to you later on and be like, I saw what was going on the whole time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I see Anoushka's already, for those of you, I'm hoping everyone can see the chat, but Anoushka's actually put in the chat details of solicitors that are in the UK that deal with narcissistic abuse. I'm so excited to see that. That was one of the things I was hoping for, some really tangible. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I'll make sure that I post that as a comment when we have the recording done for those of you. Yeah.
Can I also add sorry.
No, that's all right. Go on, Sarah. It's fine.
Can I also add that if anyone is looking for help around those situations, legal help, I personally had a lot of support from a forensic psychologist, because they know a lot about the laws involved with family laws and things like that, but they're also a psychologist, so they can help with the therapy side of things.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice, Sarah. No, absolutely. And they also know, with a forensic psychologist, these are individuals that have worked with enduring mental health, like axis 1 disorders, people with personality disorders or schizophrenia, they understand it as well. So yeah, just wanted to add that just because the solicitors are in the UK, they do deal with clients worldwide. So they're just, they're just because they're in the UK, they will take on cases from the US. So they're brilliant. I've recommended a lot of people to them, and no one has come back complaining. So I've got actually a few clients that are actually using them at the moment. But just going to the Q&A question to the anonymous attendee, I'm sorry that you're going through this, but just like all three of the lovely panelists have said, it is about protecting yourself. And the way that you do that is you've got to remove the emotional side of it now. And I know that is just so tough, and you've got to treat this situation like a business transaction. It is a business. You're basically in a business deal now. That's what's going on here. And what this person is trying to do is provoke you. And what you're going to do is you're going to respond. You're not going to react, you're going to respond. And that's what you do. That's how you get your power back. So you've got this. I know it's not easy, but you just have to change your mindset in the way that you respond to this person. He isn't that person anymore, and they never were. And so this is now trying to just get over that and just change your mindset and the way that you behave towards them.
And taking your time and asking loads of questions, but people that can help you, taking your time. There's no emergencies involved in any sort of legal process. You don't ever have to, very quickly we can want to react and get our message straight back, or we want to instruct the next kind of stage of the legal, but very much take your time, be considered, let it sit. I'm always forever writing out things and then coming back to them and coming back and back and back, and then the right outcome comes in the end once like you say, the emotion comes out of it then, because it becomes a very logical process.
Great. I would suggest as well, all of you, when you're finding that you're becoming really emotional and you're wanting to engage with this like a business transaction, as Anoushka said, I think that's a perfect analogy to go into that logical space. The question is, how can we in those moments marshal our own internal resources so that we're able to be grounded? So I would suggest that you find a circumstance in which you feel particularly grounded, and that, usually that has to do with nature. Nature, we know, settles the nervous system. Hugging the tree, being barefoot in the grass. Maybe for you it's a hot bath, but find that situation, and the next time you do it, really become aware, okay, this situation is really grounding me. Now, before you think that I'm suggesting that every time you get emotional, you run off and take a bath, like, sorry, solicitor, I've got to go calm my nervous system. I'm not saying that. It's actually a really helpful process whereby you really become aware when you're doing something that's settling your nervous system. You go like, oh, okay, I'm noticing that this standing on the beach, standing near a tree, doing this, it's calming my nervous system. And in that moment, give yourself like it's from neurolinguistic programming, but it's very helpful. Give yourself a little tap or somewhere so that you can remember this feeling and ground it in your body. So let's just use the shoulder as an example. You're finding your happy place. You're like, okay, here I am. I'm really calm. This is how I wish I felt when I was dealing with ex or parent or whatever, give yourself a little tap on the arm and imagine that feeling grounding in your body, and give yourself the suggestion. We're our own best allies, after all. Give yourself the suggestion, okay, when I'm in this situation where I'm overwhelmed, this is going to remind me how it feels to have this bath done barefoot in the sun, you know, whatever, right? Breathe that in. Take some really deep breaths, breathing into your belly, feeling your diaphragm, feeling that feeling of settledness, really ground, tapping 3 times, and then just practice. The next time you feel yourself getting wound up, step back mentally for a moment, give yourself that tap and remind yourself. It sounds really so simple, too simple to work, but it can really work. And as with everything, the more you practice this, the better you become at it.
Absolutely, without a doubt, it works. It really works.
Yeah,
Take it from us, it works. So somebody's just popped in the chat. It's hard to accept when a narc is a sibling or a family member who has gaslighted you always. And you're right, it's hard to accept narcissists even exist, let alone that they exist inside our family, that they exist inside our personal relationship circles. And they do feel like sometimes they are everywhere. But one thing that I like to focus on is the fact that I'm very grateful that I'm not a narcissist, and that I am in control of what I am. And it's about surrounding myself with people, you know, I'm very much about surround yourself with your soul tribe, integrate yourself into this community of survivors for as long as you need to really tap into this collective healing energy that we all have, and we are all absolutely ready to share with you all. And find your soul tribe, and the more you can take from your soul tribe, the more you will be able to grow and heal. And then when you go back out there, when you come across these narcissistic people, they can't touch you. And that's definitely what I subscribe to doing.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely.
I just want to answer this question that we have from Anastasia, how to say, but she wrote this question in the chat: how to start going back into the other world after narc abuse. I see everything through just narc, non-narc lines. How do you engage in relationships with people who've never faced narcissism? Is it possible? Would we never be able to be normal again? I mean, this is such a great question, and I'm sure, Tricia, do you want to start? Do you have you went through all of this, obviously you've written a book about it.
A very good book, everybody. You have to go and read Tricia's book. It's fantastic. It will resonate with everybody, without a doubt.
Can you repeat it again, because I was answering a chat?
No worries. It's actually from it's in the chat. So it's basically, how can we ever feel normal again? How can you go back out into the world after narc abuse? Because you see everything in this black or white. They're abusers and victims. How do you engage in relationships with people who never faced narcissism? Is it possible if people don't get you?
Yeah, absolutely. It is possible. And honestly, you just have to be patient and give yourself a lot of grace. Taking that time to connect with yourself and to start journaling. I suggest journaling every single day, every morning, at least 5 or 10 minutes, just to get your thoughts out on paper. It's very cathartic. That's why I wrote a book. But you know, being able to take time for yourself, you know, and exercising your right to say no, and you know, finding people that are like-minded, that have been through something like this. Support groups are incredible. I was in one. I'm still in it because I love them. They're my family. It's Narcissistic Apocalypse. And Brandon is the host of that, and he's precious. He's based out of Canada. And we do a Zoom meeting twice a week, and they're great. That's what I was typing to whoever, but you know, be very careful who you share with. That's why it's important to join support groups. You see that you're not on an island by yourself. You're not alone. It's sad that there's so many of us, but it's a very real and very pervasive thing all over the world, and it's painful and it's evil. But I promise, the more you pour into yourself and really focus on your healing, sleep when you need to, you know, dive into hobbies, something that you love or that you're interested in, making time for those things that intrigue you or you've always wanted to do and never got to. That will revamp your energy and your spark, and you will start to branch out again, and you'll find who you are, who you're meant to be, and what direction you want to go, and everything will just kind of start settling down in the back, and the further away you get from it, it's not so scary. And life, I mean, life is a journey. We have lessons to learn. This is all a lesson. It's a painful lesson, but it makes you stronger, and it helps you support others going through it. So just know that there is hope and that it does get better. Just have faith and patience and compassion for yourself.
Absolutely. And keep doing all of those things. And one thing that I get asked a lot is the question, how can I ever trust anybody again? And I always say the question is when you can trust yourself again. And by doing all of those things that Tricia has just said, you know, really diverting your focus back onto yourself, onto what, you know, is authentic for you and really lights you up, like Michelle says, that's when you know that you've got these strong boundaries, you know who you are, you know what you're looking for in a person. And then it's not a question of whether you can trust other people, you trust yourself, and you know that you will say no if it's not the right thing.
And you'll pick up on it quicker too. When people start to try to manipulate you or take advantage, you'll be like, red flag.
Narc your narc will be beep, beep, beeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to add to that, when you first come to the realization that you have been narcissistically abused, it is like you only see that for a very, very long time. You've got your narc abuse lenses on, and you're like, oh, they're a narcissist, they're a narcissist, they're a narcissist, that's narcissistic, blah, blah, blah. And you're seeing it literally everywhere you look, just kind of like when you're trying to buy a new car and you see that car everywhere, you're just like, okay. And you start to get confused. I personally was confused. I was like, is this narcissism or is it not? And I was talking to my partner about it, and he started to get a bit, you know, like he started to get bored by it, because I was just like, this is all I'm talking about all day. Like, I can't believe it. This is just such a massive realization. And it was a huge part of my life for about 6 months. I was literally like, everything in my life was narcissism. But that's because it was like waking up from a cult. It was like waking up from being brainwashed. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is like golden information that has been missing from my life. So yes, it's very normal that you're going to have your narc abuse lenses on for a very long time until you start to settle. And what I like to call it, they call it, I'm personally a cancer survivor, and in the cancer survivor community, they call it a new normal. And I call it a new normal in this situation as well, because it's not like you're going to go out in the world and be the same person you were ever again. Like, you're going to be this new person who's much stronger, who's actually got a superpower now, who's able to see who is going to be manipulative or who's actually a genuine person. So rather than see it like, oh, I can see all the narcissists now and it's really bad, try and use a reframe, which is an NLP technique, which is flip it on itself and say, you know what, I'm so glad that I can see the red flags everywhere now, and I can see who's actually genuine.
And I take so much pleasure in meeting genuine, good people that don't have any of those red flags. You know, it's really reassuring to know that they are out there, and everyone comes into your life at the right time for you.
Yeah, 100%. And it's very, very true that it's important to, like I said, it's one of the parts of my coaching process to focus on what you want, because that is the most important thing. When you start to change your life, you start to go, okay, well, what do I really want? And when you have a sense of purpose, it's like when your head is so, in alignment, or your head's down and looking at that purpose, other things can come in, but they're not going to have a strong enough pull to pull you away from that when you're focusing so dedicated, like in a dedicated way towards what you want.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I'd like to say is, honor your feelings, those emotions, especially like you need to get those out. Don't stay in it, but honor that. And if you need to cry, cry. Like, your body needs to process it and get it out. And I mean, I'm sure Michelle could speak on that, but your body holds on to trauma in the cells. So you've got to work it out and allow yourself to purge it, because it's not serving you holding on to that. So yeah.
And to also
Anoushka, did you want to add anything to that? I just noticed your mute was off.
Oh, yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that the reason why we, after we've gone through narcissistic abuse, and we are a lot more aware, because we are a lot more kind of emotionally vulnerable. So when we have been traumatized, we're naturally drawn to that. And that's exactly what Sarah was saying. Yeah, we're drawn to it. We notice it. But that's because our perceptions have changed. And like Tricia was saying, that, you know, the trauma is stored in our body. And I was thinking, maybe Michelle, maybe you could kind of say to us, or kind of advise us what we could do in terms of trying to get that trauma out of our body. Like, what would you do if somebody came to you and said, like, I've been narcissistically abused? What do I do? Help me.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I mean, getting trauma out of your body is absolutely, it's so vital, because essentially what it's doing is it's helping settle your nervous system. So if we're in an activated state, if we're in a traumatized state, we're constantly in a flight or fight mode, or we can dissociate, one or the other. But in any case, what that means is that you're approaching your whole environment as if you're waiting for danger. And so either you're waiting for danger in a way that triggers you to be overreactive, over emotional, run, argue, fight, or in a way that causes you to retract back into yourself and dissociate and go numb. But in any case, the result is that your nervous system is unsettled, and you need to settle it, because the healing work, the coaching work, all of the things that all of these wonderful women do, they will be more effective, and you'll be more receptive to them when you're not constantly in this vigilant state. So settling the nervous system is important. How do you do that? How do you release trauma from the body? Well, it's a very individual and personal thing, because we're all very different in terms of what we respond to, what works for us. Some people really respond to things like trauma release exercises, which is a shaking modality, which helps you literally just at the level of your body release that tension. Other people are really, really love to dance. They love that free dance, that free movement, and they go to some of these, we haven't had a lot of them during lockdown, unfortunately, but some of these like Kundalini dance or freedom dance or 5 rhythms, where you're just moving your body. That's phenomenal for just shaking it off. You can even do it at home. I advise clients, put on music that's not going to remind you of the past. It's just kind of neutral music, and just let your body move with the music. That can release it. You know, obviously crying, journaling, like Tricia said, is great, because just sometimes getting the words out can trigger an emotional reaction. Also, just becoming, regardless of what modality you choose, becoming aware of how you're holding it, where it is in your body, and really noticing when I speak to the ex, when I'm dealing with the legal stuff, where do I notice this tension? Where in my body am I holding it? And just go into that and imagine it dissolving around you. See if you can meet it in any way. There are multiple ways of doing it. Being in nature, as I've mentioned before, is a great way. But definitely, you know, starting on that journey to work with your body and to work with finding a way to discharge that energy and settle your nervous system is really, it's really important. It's really important. And I can give everyone more resources as we go on. I have a little program that's a $37 program called Releasing, basically releasing trauma from the body, and it's an online program that is just focused on that. It's like 100% about just working with yourself in your own time to release trauma from the body. But I will pop some more resources in the notes for the show afterwards.
It very much follows a similar approach to the way that I do the breaking the trauma bond, because the initial breaking of the trauma bond and getting those kinds of thoughts back under control and that are not kind of leading you or consuming your life, because when you're in that trauma bond, that initial phase, it can be very difficult to even see that it could be possible for you not to wake up in the morning with this person on your mind, not to go to sleep, not for everything to remind, and everything that we've been talking about. You know, the technique I use is act, release, divert, and that is actions that are going to really kind of activate the other parts of your brain which are not the fight, not the reward pathways, not the amygdala, not the survival parts of the brain, the parts of the brain which are to do with storytelling and the things that really help us to resolve our emotional trauma. And then the release, like you say, journaling and engaging in creativity and communication and, you know, meeting people. And then the divert, which is that bringing the focus back onto yourself, back onto your purpose, back into alignment with who you truly are. And in doing that, you can move through this process and get to the light at the end of the tunnel, which is absolutely there.
Yeah, fantastic. I'd like to speak to one of these questions I've got in the Q&A. It may have been answered, but Howard posted a question about, you know, kind of like, how do I sum it up in a way that's relevant to everyone? He's saying, you know, like, you know, this no one in the community knows how manipulative my ex was, basically. And it sounds like, Howard, and I'm really sorry that you're going through that. It sucks to be in a situation where you know that you're the good guy and, you know, this person manipulated and lied and has turned people against you. But I want to speak to something that answers that, but is kind of a little bit more general, which is how can you all support people who become in a really destructive way, kind of in a holding pattern of being upset about, you know, the fact that, you know, everyone believes these things that aren't true, and, you know, you're the victim, and people see the person who's a narcissist is just so wonderful and social and witty and charming and engaging, and not you. I mean, I ask that because I see it a lot in my work, not just for this situation, but for any kind of abuse and any kind of emotional crisis. It's easy to get your thoughts wrapped in, this shouldn't have happened, it's not fair, I can't believe it. And we can get into, I mean, you know, we can get into the space where it's hard to see the light. It's hard to come out of that. Can we just speak to that? I think it's really important because at some point, I mean, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it very well, but I think, we need to find a way to break the thought pattern so that we can not care anymore. And I don't mean that in a negative way, not caring, because it did happen and it's abusive and terrible, and we need to accept that and validate that, but be able to go, okay, that happened, but I'm okay and I'm worthy, and I know that. How can we start that journey? Tricia, a little order of and thank you for asking that, Howard.
Yeah, I was answering Howard too. I went through that and it was brutal, but honestly, you have to be able to remove yourself from it. They're flying monkeys and people that are helping abuse you by proxy or third party without the abuser directly coming at you. It hurts, especially if you shared a friendship with these people. But, you know, anybody that's going to treat you that way is not your friend. So you have to just be able to, you know, speak your truth, stand strong, and just let them go, because it's not serving you. It's not going to help your healing. And it's very important that you focus, again, turn it inward, focus on your healing, yourself, and just keep going, do you, and find your tribe. That's why I say, you know, join these support groups, maybe start talking to some of the people that are on this live chat. I've made so many incredible connections with people through these platforms on social media during my healing, and I talk to them like every day. You know, you find the universe gives you what you need when you need it, if you just open your eyes. So, you know, pour that love into you and let those people go. They're not your friend.
Yeah, and we're here. We're giving you permission. We're giving you permission. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to let them go and to redirect and to come home to yourself. And to some really practical things when you're not feeling worthy, when you haven't got that self-esteem, that self-belief. Using affirmations, which I've nicely got behind me, are a really great way to start, because they require very little energy. They aren't complicated. It is really, really simple to just integrate an affirmation practice into your day and just go with it for a while, and then explore just what kind of benefit it's having, because I should imagine everybody on here would say that they've used affirmations at some point to help them through. And they can feel a bit strange at first, and you can wonder why on earth it works, but they do work, and there's real science behind it, and it's worth engaging in an affirmation practice.
Thanks, guys. To add to that, I completely agree that affirmations are part of the healing process for me as well. Even just the power of saying I love myself in the mirror, even when you don't believe it, is just like big. It can make you cry and bring up a lot of emotion. So, but to add to that, we have a tendency to project our feelings onto others, right? And that can be our good feelings as well. So if you believe that this person is seen that way in society, then you're going to be projecting that onto them when it may not necessarily be true. So the flying monkeys in their life and the people around them might actually see what's really going on, but they get something from the relationship that they don't want to give up. So say it's a friend and they're like, oh, well, this friend gives me something. Well, I'm not going to give up that friendship, although I can see that they're an abusive person. So they're basically fulfilling a need from that relationship, that flying monkey. But anyone who does get close enough to that person is going to eventually see their true colors. And that is what we have to hold strong to. And that's what I tell my clients, to focus on what's true in that situation. What do you know is true in that situation? Because you know that they're an abusive person. So what is true that's going to happen when another person comes along is they're going to experience the same thing, because they're predictable in their behavior. And there is a book called The Art of Not Giving an F-U-C-K. I think it's a really good book. And it's also taught me to stop caring so much about what other people think about this person and what other people think about me cutting off this person. Because when I no longer care about what they think about it, I have a lot of freedom, emotional freedom, especially. And when I have that emotional freedom, I put myself first and I focus on what I want. And a really good exercise to do when you're starting off on this journey is to write yes, it is by Mark Manson, is to write yourself a joy list. I tell all of my clients when we first start that when you're really, really focused on what you don't want, you forget what you love and what brings you joy. So write a list of everything that brings you joy. And that might be something down to just a cup of tea, or, changing your sheets in your bed, or going for a walk, or something that's on your bucket list that you really want to do. Like, oh, I really want to go bungee jumping or something. Write a list of all the things that bring you joy or that you want to bring you joy. And then when it comes to, I'm in a really negative mindset, I'm going to go do something on that list.
Sarah, that's great advice. Honestly, I would say exactly the same. Flying monkeys, who cares? Like, they're not worth your time. So it's about, just managing that, isn't it? It's like, who cares? Then they're not your friends. They don't value you. And that's what you've got to start doing, is valuing yourself. And I guess this is about boundary work, isn't it? It's about boundaries.
It is, and getting to know yourself and getting to love yourself. And at first it can be difficult to believe that you are lovable, but we are all born enough. We are all born completely unique and individually us. And, we can find ourselves so out of balance with this experience that we get lost. And when we focus our attention on coming back to ourselves, that's when everything opens up. And so it can be very easy to focus on what they're doing, what people are saying. But like Sarah says, if they're getting served from it, then they can be blind to, or they can choose to not see what is obvious to everybody. And anybody that takes one person's side of an account without even giving any due care or consideration to the other side, it doesn't matter what they think about you anyway.
Yeah. I mean, if they're giving them all the attention, good. Whatever keeps them from bothering you, perfect.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
That's exactly right.
Done.
And you know, that thing about looking at the joy list, you know, I always start with the perfect day exercise, or, you know, that perfect moment exercise. You know, where are you, what are you doing, and really getting clear on where your life could get to if you are really, really clear on what it is that is aligned to you, that is going to bring you that joy. And our brains have a weird and wonderful way of taking us there if we let it.
Yeah, it's important to notice, you know, what you're spending your time thinking about, and, you know, to notice, oh, gee, I'm actually spending a lot of time thinking about what other people are thinking about me, and what other, you know, and the negative stuff that the narcissist is saying about me or doing. And at those moments, catch yourself and go, okay, I notice I'm focusing on that. Now, actually, what would I really like to be the case instead? And it's like everything else, it's habit. And when we're in the habit of focusing on the difficult stuff, when we've been through a trauma, it's impossible not to at first. But it's important, as you embark on your healing journey, to start to notice when you're spending more time focusing on the negative than the positive, and make small steps, baby steps every day. And a great thing, which I'll just, you know, echo, I think what Sarah was saying or Eve was saying, you know, really thinking about what brings you joy, what it is you want, and writing out, you know, noticing, for example, if your focus is on what other people are saying, the friends you've lost, etc., changing that around and taking the time to write out to yourself. I imagine, you know, how much joy I feel when I have this group of friends who totally understands me, they totally support me. And, you know, I think as you said, Eve, I forget how you said it, the why, when, you know, making that really tangible and really spelling it out for yourself, and noticing when you get stuck in the negative stuff, getting that piece of paper and going, right, I'm just going to remind myself of what I'm heading towards, the reality that's coming into being. Because we all have that opportunity to create that wonderful life for ourselves, right? But to do that, we have to put the time in to, you know, catch ourselves when things are always going to go. There are always going to be times when we, you know, have bad days and bad experiences and negative thoughts, and that's okay. But getting into a habit of learning how to shift yourself out of that is a really important life skill that can take everyone.
I think
really far.
One thing I always talk about is, I find myself talking about this a lot, is that we often try to solve our thought problems with thought solutions. We're always trying to think our way out of a problem, and actually solving a thought problem with a body solution enables our mind to do what it's designed to do, and that is to resolve the emotional experience that we're having. So a body solution is something that is practical. It might get you out in nature, it might be something like exercise, it might be writing down, it might be talking, but it isn't trying to resolve it inside your own head. It's taking some sort of action, and it activates the different parts of your brain, and that's what gives our body the chance to heal. You know, we don't sit and wonder whether a scab's going to form when we cut ourselves. And we shouldn't sit and wonder whether our mind can and our emotions can heal what they've been through when we've been through it. The more time we sit wondering, the more we're kind of delaying the process. So embracing it, sitting with your emotions, doing other things, they are what can really allow the body to do what it's designed to do.
Yeah, fantastic. I'd really like to go back through the panelists and have you each share what you offer in your work to support people. I know we've mentioned a lot of different Zoom support groups, but we've had quite a few messages in the chat like, how do I find these groups? What can I do? So I'd love to just I'd love for you to share what you do, and we'll start with Tricia. I know you've written a book. I don't know what else you've got going on. Please.
Yeah, I wear many hats. I coach anybody who just needs help getting started, whether you're still in the relationship, you just got out of the relationship, I am tough love. I am all about getting you in love with yourself again and setting up those boundaries. But I think it's completely necessary, and it's what's going to help you take your power back and stand firm, and stop accepting.
And what is your book? What is your book called? What is your book called, and how can we find it?
My book is called Narcissist, Misaligned Mind. It is on Amazon. It's how my faith and rebirth helped me escape the abuse. It's in paperback, and it's also on a Kindle for you device readers. I like to hold a book, but yep, it's available all across all of Amazon in the UK, Australia, and USA and Canada. So, but yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. My Instagram handle is @NarcMisalignedMind. Just send me a DM if you need some time to chat, and I'm happy to help and support you and encourage any way I can.
So yeah, I offer one-to-one mentoring and coaching as well. I also have a program which is specifically for breaking the trauma bond and reclaiming your identity. It's a hybrid of a group and a one-to-one program. So it's weekly one-to-one sessions over 12 weeks, but it's also a weekly workshop which is hosted by me. And then I have a range of guest healers and specialists that come in, and we do some collective healing. We learn new things, and it is very much about coming back to your authentic self. You know, we try out and we do pretty much, well, a whole range of different things, from clearing the energy of your home to quantum healing to getting involved with different yoga practices, soul recoding, sound and color therapy. And basically you'll find something in there that works for you and that you will then want to run with and will be able to integrate into your kind of everyday practice. And yeah, it's very much working with the subconscious mind to break that trauma bond. And then it's all about getting back in touch with who you are and where you want to take your life. Because I think one of the things that we were just talking about with regards to, you know, how you can take from this, well, there's a saying that I absolutely love, and that is, in grief there is much wisdom. And if we go through the process, at the end of it, we get to take away some really, really profound things that we can apply to all areas of our life. And I think we're probably all sat there on that journey and finding out those things all the time. And it's really reassuring to know that what we've been through wasn't completely in vain. It was bad, it was shit, and somebody came in and really did us a real cruelty. But if we can grow and we can support others, then we can turn that negative into a positive.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So I am a NLP coach and timeline therapy practitioner. I'm studying psychology at the moment, but I have been practicing NLP for a fair few years, and now I have a one-on-one coaching program. It takes 6 months to go through. I also do one-on-one timeline therapy sessions, but my main program is my 6-month coaching program. In that process, we go through a journey on figuring out who you are, figure out what you want and how you can create that in your life. And then once we do that, we kind of, you know, sweep that to the side to be worked on in the period, but then we work on removing blockages, unconscious blockages, and working through triggers and working through issues that may have been causing a lot of strife emotionally for a long time, or working on removing limiting decisions or limiting, you know, feelings that have been stopping you from getting what you want in your life. Now, I do help people with narcissism, but I focus more on your personal life. So although there may be issues that you want to talk about, the focus is primarily on you. Although we do work on those issues as they come up, I think the most important thing is to focus on what you want, rather than what this person has taken away from you, although we do address it at the time. The focus is on what you want, because you've been taking so much of your energy and so much of your time and putting it into anyone else, especially if you're a people pleaser. I work with people pleasers a lot because we have lost a lot of energy, a lot of time in putting our energy into others. So it's now time to focus on self. So there's a lot of self-love in there, a lot of self-love practice, and a lot of activities that are to do with the emotional work and the mental work as well. So I'm offering a discount for anyone who wants to jump on and do a session with me. And if anyone signs up, there's a discount for that.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah.
So I guess it's me. So I'm a psychologist and I work therapeutically using different modalities. I work one-to-one as well. I use a lot of neuropsychology, helping you to grow, to regenerate, to connect back to yourself and grow that way. I also make a lot of YouTube videos to help educate people and help them to move forward. So yeah, go and check me out. I'm at askanoushka.co.uk, and yeah, have a look, see maybe there's something that might help you to move forward. I also do meditations. I'm going to be starting a podcast very soon. So yeah, I do a whole variety of things.
Cool. And I would encourage everyone to reach out and to, be in touch with these panelists individually if you have questions, and also to NarcAbuseTV, who has been moderating this, if you have questions that haven't been answered, because we can put you in touch with other people if we need to. We do have a lot of extra questions, but this is only part one of a 3-part conversation. And I would love to hear from all of you who are watching, and all of you who are watching the replay. I would love for you to write in and talk about what you would like to hear about next, because maybe we do have extra questions, but I would love to know if there's anything that we've left out that you particularly want help with. Here you are.
I'm talking in the room, and I'm talking to you now for sure, and not the rest of the room. I just brought down the value of the whole screen here, because all 5 of you are exceptionally beautiful people who have I'm watching this interaction, and it's been amazing. I want to say this: we have more questions than we have time today.
Yeah.
But we don't have more questions than we have passion to help people, because all 5 of you have that. But like anything else in life, it needs to be regulated. So we can't be here all day, though. If we had the power and that much dynamic energy that comes from the sun and the universe, we would probably do that. So we're going to need to call this to an end. But there was 18, 19 other people that were here. A couple of them are leaving now because they're recognizing we're coming to an end. This is us putting our toe into the water to see what we get from it. We've done quite well. We have done well done to all 5 of you. Well, let me rephrase that. Let's do this. There we go. Not that you can hear me. Michelle, you did really well for spur of the moment being the host. So, I can't believe, aren't you supposed to be doing what you do on your show? No, this is your idea. I just try to make it happen. I am honored to be able to do this with all 5 of you. 2 UK individuals, 2 beautiful UK people here, Anoushka and Eve, and 2 from Australia, which would be, of course, Michelle, our host, and Sarah, the fighter. But who keeps us in line is North Carolina. NC's in the house, just keeping us in line so that everybody gets that little down home cooking and would you say, come to Jesus moment, tell it like it is.
I love it.
And you were on your best behavior today. You didn't really like start any fights or anything today. Because I was concerned when I was putting the panel together. I was like, Sarah and Tricia on the same panel. Who can I counterbalance that with? And I said, Eve, And Anoushka is going to be the person that's going to sit back and go like, okay, everybody, we're gonna relax now and understand. Now this is what we're gonna do, and this is the plan. And then I said, but who could actually be the one would be the mother hen of everyone, and that would be Michelle. She keeps
No.
me in line. Okay, let's just, let's just put it. I literally thought to myself, who could keep me in line? I went like, oh, Michelle could. So, Michelle could keep me in line. And so everybody has done well, but I truly appreciate the work that's been done of talking to people in the chat, and the chat just has exploded. Can everybody see the chat? It went from 0
Yeah.
to like 15, and like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
exploded. And oh, one of my daughters is here. She's laughing too. We both are. Everybody here is watching this, and it's like what you have done is created an atmosphere of safety, uh, of uh, of productivity, but you've made it possible for people to understand their emotions and what they're going through with dealing with someone who doesn't care for them. And you've given them an opportunity to see their dignity and to go out and reach it and grab it and take it back. Some of the things that you said, Sarah, Tricia, and Eve, were amazing. And how you, as a cleanup batter, Anoushka did, brought it all back home for us to move forward to the next question. And that you delivered quite well, Michelle. An amazing team came together. First time all of you being on camera together.
It was good fun.
Amazing. Truly, I mean, really amazing. We were sitting here watching this and it was going like, you ladies should do this regularly all the time. So feel free to interact and do projects together. But please, everyone that's here watching this and those that will watch this back later, please come back for an open session number 2 and number 3 of doing this. And again, we just stuck a toe in. Next time we're gonna put more of we're gonna put one foot in, then we're gonna put another foot in, and you got something to expect. You guys can't see my daughter. One of my youngest is back there going, she's doing like jazz hands. You guys are gonna be awesome as we go on. And no, you can't get them on camera because
Turn the camera around, Paxton.
Yeah,
Turn it
we want
around.
to see them. We want to see your cheerleading
no, they're
team.
shaking. Hey,
Your producers.
they're not. What'd you say? Did you hear? Say it again.
I'm still in my pajamas.
They're pajamas. You're like,
I'm going to be in about 10 minutes.
oh, wait, I just got threatened by the
Yeah,
other
me
one.
too.
The other
Or I
one
will
just
let
said,
you
"I'm gonna
off."
get you." They just told me I'm gonna get you. I'm in trouble. You may not see me after today because I just outed them in front of this whole thing. But I had to. Listen, they're the behind the scenes. That's why if you see Marie
They're amazing.
EP on there, that's
Yeah.
executive producer. That's why she put that on
Yeah.
there. It's like to remind everybody, I'm here. She's running. She was running. She got it all set up, and we are honored to do this. But there are more questions, everyone that's listening and
Yeah.
watching this right now. You have no idea the questions.
Yeah.
I haven't even told Michelle the questions that I got. So,
Yeah.
and then each one of you may have things from your own particular pages or channels or whatever it may be. Many of you may or may not know about Ask Anoushka. It's a running series that is very powerful, and a number of other things. She's been making videos for quite a while, which is why I wanted you on the platform, Anoushka. You're very good at what you do, but you all of you ladies, I mean, you can't see it. My daughters are shaking their heads. We really were saying, okay, we're gonna throw this together and see what happens. And well, they're doing, how you do that? They're doing the whole heart thing. Whatever, I'm old, I can't do it. So yeah, whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, Tricia, that's what she's doing over there behind us over
Yeah.
here. This worked so well, but everybody else that will watch this back, all of you are going to get copies of this. Yes, I'm still recording.
Yeah.
And we're all doing, they're giving me cues of something I got to mention before we go. But we're going to do some things over the next 2, all of us, all 6 of us, everyone that's watching this, we're going to get together and we're going to be really, really, really ready for you. We just put this on and just throw it out to you this time. But there's some things that we're all going to talk about, and we're going to go with number 2 next time, and it's going to be good, and number 3 is going to be even better. And for me personally, hey, I'll keep doing this with all of you. It's not a problem, but we need to get to the questions, as many as we can, as we did today, even more so next time. This has been amazing from my perspective, with all of you coming together and never really meeting each other on camera until this moment today. And so everyone, if you have questions, please send them to us. Please connect with us. Next time, we will continue to chat with you in the chat. And we will take note of your Q&A, the questions that you may have. Everyone has talked about their programs. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Stay in tune with the postings that will take place. Listen.
Yep.
Last comments from everyone, and then we got to go. Michelle, please go first. I know you've all talked and mentioned things before I came on. Just anything you can shrink wrap and say to everybody and how they can reach out to you.
Yeah, I mean, please reach out to me if you want to have any, if you have any questions about releasing trauma from the body, getting in touch with your emotions, or if you just have any questions in general. I'm at Michelle Dixon Healing, and thank you so much for coming. I'm just really grateful that we pulled it off. I never thought when I had this idea that it would be this. I thought maybe it would be like one person from my little audience. So this is amazing, and I'm just really grateful everyone showed up and you're here. And let people reach out to them if they've got questions, because we're really all in this to give everyone support. So yes.
You did good. You did really, really well as a host of the show on Sex Notice. You did really well. I deliberately did that. Like, I hope she don't think I'm gonna be here. I'm leaving. So yeah, and Tricia,
it was a little unexpected, but that's all right.
I know, but you know what? You manage all those homeschooling kids you got over there, and a husband, and all the other stuff you got going on. So hey, if you can give birth to children, you can handle this piece of cake. You did well. You did really well. Tricia, I saw you doing it. I was in my mind. I was gonna say, Tricia, have the book, and you ran and got it. I was smiling as Michelle was talking. I was like, please have your book. Hold it up for a few seconds so everybody can take a screenshot and take a look at it. And there we go. That's the book. And your words, please, for everybody that's still here, because look, most of the people are still here. So go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah. This is my book. It's on Amazon. Actually, Barnes & Noble's picking it up too. I forgot to mention that in the next few weeks.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta do that too. Hold on a second.
You can reach me. I put my contact information in the chat. You can reach me on Instagram at NarcAbuseTV if you want to schedule a coaching session, or if you just need to cry it out. I'm here to listen and validate you. And you can also email me at selfloverecovery910@gmail.com. Sending you all love and light, and stay well.
Yeah. And by the way, she really does mean that. If you want to cry it out. That's another reason why I wanted you on the show, because I knew you would. You really mean that, by the way. She's not just saying that, everybody. If you want to go cry, connect with her. And by all means, Eve.
Yeah, so yeah, you can connect with me. I've put my details in the chat box as well. Just keep on going. There is absolutely light at the end of this. We are here for you. You are loved, you are supported, and you are enough. And we are here to help you to realize that and to hold that true, because you deserve to heal from this, and there's a community of people waiting to support and love you and help you to do that.
Open arms.
Yeah,
absolutely. We are open
ready for you. And by the way, if you are at home on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you want to connect with somebody, especially on, I think you do Friday and Sunday, or
I do Friday and Sunday Zoom groups. Yeah, Friday and Sunday and Wednesday Zoom groups.
So if the kids have been picked up and you're sitting there and you're upset because the narc is a troublemaker and he's got the kids, reach out to Eve, and she has an entire group of people who are hanging out with each other until the kids come back home, so you don't feel alone because your friends are out being stupid and you're trying to stay home safe. You know what I mean? All right, connect with Eve. Sarah, what can I say about you, man? You're just like, you're Popeye. You're the Popeye of narcissism. You're just like, seriously, you up a can of whoop stuff, and you just be ready to fight people. I had you on, and my audience blew up. They were like, what is that girl taking? What is she on drugs? She's like pumped up. She's like ready to fight a narc, right? So, go ahead. The queen of Twitter, go ahead.
It's because I move my arms so much. I'm European. Yeah. I'm like always just like thanks everyone for joining. I'm Sarah De Silva. My page on Instagram is Heal the Mum Wound, MUM Wound, and Twitter is the same. There are a few free resources on my Instagram page. There's the Trigger Digger Journal, which I highly recommend for anyone starting out their journey, and some meditations. But otherwise, you know, if you're starting out, I think anyone who cannot get help right now, like therapy or otherwise, grab yourself a book that you're willing to throw away and just write as much as you can, just to get it out, because that's the easiest way to stop having these things running around in your head and get some peace. And otherwise, know that we are all here for you, and you can send us a DM at any time. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. All of you ladies are amazing. The one woman who is on YouTube and decides to tell people to ask her anything, Anoushka, you don't know what you were starting, because people just be sending all kind of questions to you, and you sit there and patiently answer all their questions. And I sit there and go like, how do you do that? That would like drive me crazy, but you do it. You put yourself out there, and you have your Ask Anoushka YouTube channel. Thank you for doing this. I truly appreciate it, future podcast person.
You're very welcome, very welcome. Absolutely, everybody. Well, it's just it's a source of information. It's just another perspective, you know, from someone who has worked with these people, you know, someone who, from a psychological perspective, it's just a different way of looking at it. And also, if you are someone who has gone through narcissistic abuse and you're kind of like at the other side, this is the kind of work that I do. It's all about self-regeneration. It's all about connection back to self, because trauma, you know, separates us from who we actually are. So it's just finding your way back home to who you are. And I'm kind of, I work with people kind of like, to, you know, at the other side of their journey, whereas you lovely ladies work with people at the beginning, not necessarily just the beginning, but people who are working through it. But I kind of work with people more about, you know, taking them to the other side. And there is another side, and there is a side of, you know, recovery, empowerment, and learning about yourself, connecting back to yourself, regenerating.
Notice that there you have provided from beginning to end, and you also go one step further, all of you. You also have on your panel Michelle, who talks about the body and ways to work that connection as well. So I appreciate all of you, and thank you for taking of your time. It is nighttime in the UK. It is morning time for you in Australia, and well, you know, you're on the East Coast, Tricia, and I'm on the West Coast. We've made an amazing connection here, all of us. The only thing missing, I think, right now is Canada. So we have made an amazing connection, all of us together. I'm trying to give everyone an opportunity to get their last bit of chat in because I'm going to unplug. And I don't want anybody to feel like we're kicking them to the curb. But hopefully everyone's gotten the answers that they needed. I'm just double checking. Thank you so much. We've all had fun. Everyone here,
Thanks,
please
everyone.
do what Michelle says. Tell a friend. Get the questions over to Michelle. Get them over, of course, to anybody here, but mainly Michelle and NarcAbuseTV. And then we will pass them on to the panel, and they will prep ahead of time, and we'll be ready for you for round 2 of Healing from Narcissism 2021. And by all means, of course, the way to support this particular event and many more is through our merch store, as well as other things. But right now, I do need to say this very last thing, or I'm going to be in trouble, because they've made it quite clear. I have to say this. We will be doing a giveaway in the next 2 shows from our merch store. So we will be doing that for those who are attendees. So it's not open to anybody. You have to actually show up. And we will be doing a giveaway in the show. But the main reason we want to bring that to your attention is so that you can bribe someone to come and bring their question and show up at the show. So we had a good turnout, a good engagement, and now it's time to go. Love you guys.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.